The crossing paths, the last light of the twin suns spilled across the crumbling stone archway, painting shadows that danced like ancient spirits among the ruins. Thalia moved silently through the temple, her footsteps barely disturbing the dust that had settled over centuries. Her iridescent skin, normally a brilliant blue, had dulled to a muted gray, a defense mechanism of her species when in danger or distress. She paused at a fallen column, her six-fingered hand running along symbols carved by her ancestors. The Nylari had once been numerous, spreading their knowledge of medicinal plants and healing across this sector of the galaxy. Now, as far as she knew, she was the last. Fascinating architecture, isn't it? The voice startled her. Thalia spun around, hand instinctively reaching for the blade hidden in her cloak. A human male stood 10 meters away, his posture relaxed but alert. He wore the standard gray uniform of the Galactic Research Division, with patches indicating specialization in xenobiology. "I didn't mean to frighten you," he said, raising his hand slightly. "I'm Dominic Reeves. I've been studying these ruins for about 3 months now." Thalia said nothing, calculating her escape routes. Humans had never been directly responsible for hunting her kind, but they had done little to stop it either. "You're not from the supply ship," Dominic continued, studying her with curious eyes. "And you're certainly not from the settlement. May I ask what brings you to these ruins?" "I study history," Thalia replied, deliberately roughening her naturally melodic voice. She pulled her hood lower, shadowing the luminescent markings that curved along her temples. "The temple holds records I seek." Dominic's eyes narrowed slightly. "Most historians register with the research division before venturing this far into the restricted zone. I prefer to work independently." Thalia moved toward the archway leading deeper into the temple. "Our paths need not cross again." "Wait," Dominic called. "There's a section with medical glyphs in the eastern chamber. If you're studying Nylari history, you might find it valuable." Thalia froze. How did he know what she sought? "The Nylari were remarkable healers," Dominic continued, stepping closer. "Their extinction was a devastating loss to the galaxy. Some believe a few might have survived, hidden away on remote worlds." "A pleasant fantasy," Thalia replied carefully. "But extinction is extinction." Dominic studied her for a moment longer. "Sometimes things aren't as they appear. This sector has become dangerous recently. Unauthorized ships have been detected in orbit, the type typically associated with rare species collectors." A chill ran through Thalia's body. The hunters had found this world faster than she'd anticipated. "I have a research facility 10 kilometers north," Dominic said. "Well protected and shielded from scans. If you encounter any trouble, you'd be welcome there." "I need no protection," Thalia replied stiffly. Dominic nodded, respect in his eyes. Independence is admirable, but sometimes survival requires cooperation. He placed a small communication device on a nearby stone. "If you change your mind." As he walked away, Thalia felt a strange conflict within her. The human seemed genuine, but trust had cost too many of her people their lives. She would complete her mission alone, retrieving the ancient genetic samples stored deep within the temple, and then leave this world behind. What she didn't know was that Dominic had already recognized the faint glow beneath her hood. He knew exactly what she was and the danger she was in, and he had already decided to help her, whether she wanted it or not. Warnings unheeded. The morning brought a storm that washed the ruins in sheets of purple rain. Thalia huddled in a secluded chamber, surrounded by ancient scrolls and crystalline data storage devices she'd recovered from the temple's hidden vault. Each contained fragments of her people's knowledge, medical formulas and genetic sequences that could revive the Nylari if she could get them to safety. Her comm unit beeped. With an urgent alert from the perimeter sensors she'd placed, someone was approaching. Multiple someones. Crouching low, Thalia moved to the chamber's entrance. Through the curtain of rain, she spotted Dominic hurrying toward the temple, but he wasn't alone. Several figures in sleek black environment suits followed at a distance, their movements predatory and deliberate. Dominic reached the temple entrance, drenched and breathing heavily. "Thalia," he called out. "I know you're here. They're coming." She remained hidden, watching. How did he know her name? The hunters have tracked a Nylari energy signature to this planet. Dominic continued, his voice echoing through the stone corridors. They know what you are. Talia's skin flashed involuntarily with patterns of alarm, bright blue streaks that she quickly suppressed. She stepped from the shadows, blade drawn. How do you know who I am? Dominic's eyes showed relief rather than fear at her weapon. I've spent my career studying endangered species. I recognized your bioluminescent markings yesterday. The pattern is distinctive to female Nylari of the eastern clans. If you recognized me, others will too, she said coldly. That's why I'm here. The hunters who exterminated your people on Valara Prime have tracked you. They'll be here within hours. He extended his hand. Please, come with me. My facility has shielding that can mask your biological signature. Thalia's eyes narrowed. The last time my kind trusted humans, half our population was sold to collectors. Why should I believe you? Because I'm not asking you to trust humans, I'm asking you to trust me. Rain dripped from his face as he held her gaze. I've dedicated my life to preserving what others would destroy for profit. A distant whine of engines cut through the storm's rumble. They're landing, Dominic said urgently. We have minutes at most. Thalia glanced at her gathered treasures, the last scientific legacy of her people. I cannot leave these behind. Bring what you can carry. My transport is hidden nearby. For a moment, she wavered. The human seemed sincere, but memories of betrayal ran deep. Her mother's final words echoed in her mind. Trust no one but your own kind. But her kind was gone. I will find my own way, she decided, gathering the most critical data crystals. Dominic's expression fell. They have tracking technology specifically calibrated to Nylari biology. You can't hide from them without proper shielding. I've evaded hunters for 7 years, Thalia replied, her chin lifting with pride. I will continue to do so. Thalia, please. This discussion is finished. Her tone left no room for argument. Leave now, human. Your presence only draws attention. Dominic hesitated, then reached into his pocket and removed a small device. If you change your mind, this will lead you to my facility. It also contains a frequency that will temporarily mask your biosignature, but only for about 6 hours. She accepted the device without comment, slipping it into her pouch. The offer remains open, he said, backing toward the entrance, but I can't stay without putting you at greater risk. After he departed, Thalia gathered her belongings and moved deeper into the temple complex, toward an ancient escape tunnel she'd discovered in the architectural plans. Pride warmed her chest. She needed no human protector. As twilight fell, she emerged from the tunnel 5 kilometers from the temple, confident she'd evaded detection. The sudden burning pain in her shoulder proved her wrong. A paralytic dart, hunter, technology. As consciousness faded, she glimpsed a figure in a black suit approaching and cursed her own stubborn pride. Her last thought before darkness claimed her. The human had been right after all. The hunter's trap Thalia awoke to the cold bite of restraints around her wrists and ankles. Her body felt heavy, drugged. The metallic taste in her mouth confirmed they'd used beryllium, a compound specifically designed to suppress Nylari bioluminescence and defensive abilities. Finally joining us, are we? The voice was smooth, cultured, with an accent from the inner systems. Thalia forced her eyes open. She lay on an examination table in what appeared to be a mobile laboratory. Equipment hummed around her. A tall man, with silver-streaked hair, stood nearby, examining one of her data crystals. A genuine Nylari, he continued, smiling without warmth. The last one, if my information is correct. I'm Vex Darrow. Perhaps you've heard of my collection? Thalia had indeed heard of Darrow's infamous collection. A private museum of extinct species specimens, preserved through various means, some still living in suspended animation. A monument to vanity and greed disguised as conservation. Your genetic material alone is worth a fortune, Vex said conversationally. But a living specimen priceless. My people are not extinct. Thalia lied. her voice hoarse from the drugs. Vex raised an eyebrow. Intriguing. Where might the others be hiding? Thalia remained silent. No matter. The truth serum will loosen your tongue soon enough. He placed the crystal in a scanner. These data repositories are quite the bonus. Nylari medical knowledge has been lost for decades. Pharmaceutical companies will pay handsomely. A younger man entered the lab, his features sharp and predatory. The perimeters. Secure, father. No sign of pursuit. Excellent, Krell. Prepare the stasis chamber for transport. Our primary buyer expects delivery within 48 hours. As they conversed, Thalia tested her restraints. The drugs made her weak, but her fingers could still reach the small device Dominic had given her. It remained in her pouch, somehow, overlooked in the hunter's search. A simple distraction might give her the seconds needed to activate it. Why capture me alive? She asked, drawing their attention. Dead specimens are easier to transport. Vex turned back to her. Quite simple, my dear. Your regenerative capabilities. The Nylari healing factor is unique in the galaxy. Your cells can repair almost any damage. Imagine the fortune to be made selling that ability to the highest bidder. Understanding dawned. This wasn't just about collecting a rare specimen. It was about exploiting Nylari biology to create regenerative treatments for the wealthy elite. The scanner's detecting advanced encryption on these crystals, Krell reported, frustration evident. Breaking it could take weeks. Then we'll need her cooperation. Vex approached the table. Make the choice easier, Thalia. Help us unlock. Your people's secrets and your captivity will be comfortable. A sudden explosion rocked the laboratory. Alarms blared. Vex grabbed a weapon from the wall. Perimeter breach in Sector 3, a voice announced over the comm system. Impossible, Krell snarled. No one knew our location. As they rushed to respond, Thalia seized her chance. Her fingers closed around Dominic's device, activating it with a practiced touch. The restraints around her wrists hummed briefly, then deactivated. The device contained not just a tracker, but a universal security override. Clever, human. She freed her ankles and slid from the table, fighting the drug's effects. Her limbs felt like they were moving through thick liquid. Grabbing her data crystals from the scanner, she sought an exit. The door slid open before she reached it. Dominic stood there, wearing tactical gear marked with Research Division insignia. His expression shifted from determination to relief at the sight of her. You're alive, he breathed. Can you walk? Barely, she admitted. Pride had no place when survival was at stake. He supported her weight as they moved through the corridor. My team has created a diversion on the far side of the camp. We have about 3 minutes before they realize it's a decoy. Why risk yourself for me? Thalia asked as they reached an exit. Dominic's expression hardened. Because I'm tired of writing extinction reports. Because your people's knowledge could save millions. Because it's the right thing to do. Outside, rain fell again, washing away their footprints as they disappeared into the forest. Behind them, Vex Darrow's angry commands echoed through the night. For the first time in years, Thalia allowed herself to trust, not humanity, but this one human who had proven his word. Sometimes, she realized, strength meant knowing when to accept help. Unlikely Alliance rain lashed against the transparent dome of Dominic's research facility as night settled over the forest. From the outside, the structure resembled nothing more than a natural rock formation, a masterpiece of camouflage technology. Inside, Thalia sat on an examination table as Dominic administered the counteragent to the Xerilium in her system. The paralytic should wear off completely within the hour, he said, checking her vital signs on a holographic display. Your natural, regenerative abilities are already accelerating the process. Thalia flexed her fingers, relieved as sensation returned. Your facility is well hidden, she observed, studying the laboratory around her. Unlike Vex's sterile, threatening space, this room felt purposeful but ethical. Plants from 100 worlds grew in specialized environments along one wall. Data screens displayed research on endangered species. It has to be, Dominic replied. The Research Division's preservation initiative isn't exactly popular with corporate interests or collectors like Darrow. You risked your career by attacking his camp, Thalia stated. It wasn't a question. Dominic shrugged. Officially, we were conducting a raid on suspected poachers. Unofficially, he met her gaze. I couldn't let the last Nylari become another trophy in Darrow's collection. A security alert flashed on the main screen. Dominic frowned, bringing up exterior camera feeds. They're scanning the area. The facility's shielding should hold, but we need to be prepared to move if necessary. Thalia stood, testing her strength. I've put you in danger. Once I recover fully, I'll leave. And go where? Dominic asked quietly. Darrow won't stop hunting you now. He's invested too much. She had no answer. For years she'd been running, staying one step ahead of extinction. Each safe haven proved temporary. Each ally eventually betrayed or abandoned. Why help me? She finally asked. Truly, not the noble explanation you gave earlier. Dominic was silent for a long moment. He moved to a workstation and pulled up a file. Images appeared. A lush green world with sprawling cities built in harmony with the natural environment. Terra Nova, he said. My homeworld. 20 years ago, it was considered a model of sustainable development. Then they discovered xenium deposits in the northern continent. The images shifted to scenes of ecological devastation. Strip mines, dead forests, polluted rivers. Corporate mining interests destroyed half the planet in less than a decade. Dominic continued, his voice tight with controlled anger. Thousands of species went extinct, including these. The screen showed a small six-legged creature with luminescent patterns, surprisingly similar to Thalia's own markings. Luma beetles. They produced an enzyme that could have revolutionized neural regeneration treatment. By the time we understood their value, they were gone. He turned to face her. I was 14 when the mining began. Watched my father fight the corporations through legal channels while our world died around us. Understanding dawned on Thalia. So this is atonement? Saving the last Nylari to make up for what your kind allowed to happen? Not atonement, Dominic corrected. Prevention. Your people's medical knowledge could save billions across the galaxy. Knowledge that dies with you if Darrow succeeds. A notification appeared on Dominic's communicator. His expression darkened as he read it. What is it? Thalia asked. My superior at the division. Apparently Darrow has filed a formal complaint, claiming we attacked a legitimate research expedition. He has powerful friends in the Galactic Council. They'll come for you, Thalia said, for helping me. Dominic nodded grimly. I have maybe 48 hours before an official investigation team arrives. By then, we need to be gone, with evidence of what Darrow's really doing. For the first time in years, Thalia felt something beyond survival instinct, a connection to this human who risked everything for principles, who saw value in preservation, not exploitation. There's something I haven't told you, she said carefully. I didn't come to this planet just for the data crystals. Dominic looked up, curious. Before our final colony fell, our scientists created a genetic repository, embryos preserved in stasis, the last generation of Nylari. I hid them in a sacred cave system beneath the Eastern Temple complex. Hope flickered across Dominic's face. Your species could be reborn. If we can retrieve them before Darrow discovers their existence, Thalia said. I couldn't access the vault alone. It requires technology I don't possess. For the first time since their meeting, Thalia extended her hand to Dominic, a gesture of trust between equals. It seems, she said with the hint of a smile, that we have a common purpose. Outside, the storm intensified as night deepened. But within the facility, a fragile alliance had formed, one that might just prevent an ancient species from vanishing forever. The last hope dawn broke over the eastern ruins, painting the ancient stones in gold and amber. Thalia and Dominic approached cautiously, alert for signs of Darrow's hunters. They had abandoned the relative safety of the research facility hours earlier, traveling through the night to reach the temple before reinforcements arrived. The entrance is hidden beneath the altar stone, Thalia whispered. leading Dominic through collapsed corridors untouched for centuries. They reached the central chamber where a massive stone table stood, carved with intricate Nilari symbols. Dominic ran his hand over the engravings, translating, "Life eternal springs from sacrifice freely given," he read. "It's beautiful." "And literal," Thalia replied. She pressed her palm against a specific symbol. Her skin illuminated with matching patterns, and a small section of her palm opened painlessly, releasing 3 drops of her bioluminescent blood onto the stone. The altar rumbled, sliding aside to reveal a narrow staircase descending into darkness. "Nilari, blood opens the way," she explained. "Our genetic markers are the key." They descended in silence, the passage illuminated only by the soft glow emanating from Thalia's skin. At the bottom, they entered a chamber unlike any Dominic had seen. Crystalline walls that hummed with subtle energy, preserving the perfect temperature and atmosphere. In the center stood a hexagonal structure containing hundreds of small, glowing capsules. "The future of my species," Thalia said, her voice filled with reverence. 217 embryos preserved in stasis for nearly 30 years. Dominic approached slowly, his scientific training warring with awe. "The preservation technology is beyond anything I've seen. How can we transport it safely?" Thalia moved to a control panel. "The creators designed it to be moved if necessary. The entire unit can be condensed." Her fingers danced across symbols and the structure began folding inward, becoming smaller while maintaining the integrity of each capsule. "We have perhaps an hour before Darrow's people track us here," Dominic said, checking his scanner. "The storm is interfering with their equipment, but it won't last." As Thalia worked, Dominic explored the chamber, documenting everything with his research equipment. "Your people's scientific achievements were extraordinary," he murmured. "We were healers above all else," Thalia replied, not looking up from her work. "We believed all life deserved preservation." A sudden explosion shook the chamber, sending dust cascading from the ceiling. "They found us," Dominic said grimly, drawing his weapon. "How much longer?" "Almost complete." Thalia's hands moved faster, her skin pulsing with patterns of concentration. The preservation unit finally collapsed into a container the size of a small backpack. Thalia lifted it carefully, securing it to her body. "Now we need to reach your ship," she said. They hurried toward the secondary exit Thalia had identified in the temple plans, a tunnel leading to a ravine where Dominic had hidden his research vessel. The sounds of pursuit echoed behind them as they emerged into daylight. A shot struck the rock beside Thalia's head. She ducked, pulling Dominic behind an outcropping. Vex Darrow stood 50 meters away, flanked by armed mercenaries. "Impressive evasion, Dr. Reeves," he called. "But futile. The research division has already received my complaint. Your career is over." "Along with your hunting operation," Dominic replied. "I've transmitted evidence of your illegal activities to every major news outlet in the sector." Vex's confident smile faltered. "I don't need to defeat you," Dominic continued. "I just need to expose you." The collector's expression hardened. "Then I have nothing to lose by taking what I came for." He raised his weapon, aiming at Thalia. "The Nilari. Now." Thalia stepped forward, surprising both men. "You want a Nilari specimen? Here I am." "Thalia, no." Dominic moved to stop her, but she held up her hand. "Trust me," she whispered. As she approached Darrow slowly, her skin began to pulse with patterns never seen by human eyes. Ancient defense mechanisms dormant for generations. The light grew in intensity until even Darrow stepped back, shielding his eyes. The flash that followed was blinding, accompanied by a pulse of energy that knocked the mercenaries off their feet. When vision returned, Thalia stood unharmed, while Darrow and his men lay unconscious. "Temporary neural disruption," she explained to a stunned Dominic. "An ability my people reserved for dire circumstances. It drains my energy significantly, but they'll remain unconscious long enough for us to escape." They raced to Dominic's ship, the sounds of approaching vehicles spurring them on. Once aboard, Dominic initiated launch sequences while Thalia secured the precious cargo. "Where will you go?" he asked as the engines warmed. The embryos will need specialized care to develop. Thalia was quiet for a moment. I had planned to raise them alone, on a distant world beyond the reach of collectors and corporations. And now, she looked at him, her expression softening. Now I understand that isolation isn't strength. It's extinction. My people need allies. They need a xenobiologist specializing in endangered species, Dominic finished with a small smile. Among other things. Her hand touched his briefly as the ship lifted off. Pride nearly cost me everything. Accepting help saved not just me, but the future of my kind. The vessel broke atmosphere, leaving the planet behind. In the cargo hold, the collected data crystals and preserved embryos represented more than just the remnants of a dying species. They were the seeds of revival. The division has outposts in the Outer Rim, Dominic said. Places even Darrow can't reach. We can establish a sanctuary there. As stars streaked past the view screen, Thalia allowed herself to imagine something she hadn't dared for years. A future where her kind would thrive again. Where Nilari children would grow up knowing both their heritage and the value of unlikely alliances. She ignored the human's plea, Thalia murmured, but learned to listen before it was too late. Dominic glanced at her. Is that a Nilari saying? No, she replied with a rare smile. Just the beginning of a new story. Behind them, the planet dwindled to a distant point of light. Ahead lay uncertainty, danger, and hope. Not just for one vanishing species, but for the principle that preservation required more than pride. It required connection.